In the UK, Marks and Spencer's shares plunged 7.5% on track for their worst day since May of last year after the British retailer reported a 0.6% fall in revenue in the third quarter of 2019 and suggested its 2020 gross margins will be at the lower end of its guidance. Data from the British Retail Consortium shows total sales fell 0.1%, marking the first annual sales decline since 1995. That's for retail market. Well, let's take a peep into London with Juliana. Hello, Juliana. Good afternoon. Well, let's start from the market street today as we see a deceleration of tensions between Washington and Tehran. Give us intraday position of the currency and, of course, the London stock market.
Good afternoon, Chimamanda. Well, the sentiment across London is definitely it could have been worse. And that's, of course, in relation to the response of US President Donald Trump and the Iranian attacks on their bases. Now, the perception is that tensions have cooled, and that does reflect the equities in the currency market at intraday. The FTSE All-Share is up by 0.5%. The FTSE 100 is up by 0.53%. And the FTSE 250 is up by 0.03% in currencies. The pound is down on the dollar by 0.39%, down on the euro by 0.46%, and down on the Japanese yen by 0.10%.
So what corporate news are making the headlines at Marketplace today? And, of course, why? I talked about M&S earlier.
Oh, well, Chimmy, you know, as you were saying in your leader there today in London, in the city, it's all really about retail and the fact that 2019 has been put down as the worst year on record, or since records began a few years ago now. Tesco is the UK's biggest grocer, and they came out relatively unscathed over the Christmas period. Even though they were reporting a dip in sales, it wasn't as bad as they forecast. I think over this morning, the worst case scenarios really come from Marks and Spencer's. Of course, just last year, about 6 months ago, they were relegated off of the FTSE 100, which was hugely embarrassing for them. And they haven't done well at Christmas. They reported a sales drop of about 0.6%. So that's the story that's really dominating headlines here. Another major corporate story is the departure of Willie Walsh, who is a huge figure in the aviation industry. He is the chief exec of IAG. That's the company that own British Airways. He's announced his retirement. He'll be stepping down in March, and his official retirement date is in June. A lot of people have shed a tear and said that, you know, Willie Walsh is a great figure. He actually started in aviation in the 70s as a pilot, so he really climbed up the ramps. Whoever is going to take over, his successor, is going to have a difficult time on their hands because, of course, BA in 2019 had an abysmal year. There were those strikes, and they hadn't had strikes from pilots in over 100 years, and that was down to a confrontation over their wages, and that saw dozens of flights cancelled and delayed, and also they had over £100 million worth of fines. So this year for British Airways is going to be determining, but Willie Walsh will be stepping down, which is going to make some serious changes at the company.
A whole lot to chew there on the corporate world. Anyway, let's wrap this up at the Buckingham Palace. What is the update from the royal family on the financial independence announcement made by Prince Harry and Meghan?
Well, there's no update from the royal family, really, other than the statement that they released yesterday. What we know is that Prince Harry and his wife Meghan, they've released this statement saying that they will be stepping back from being senior royals, as can be expected. The reaction has dominated British press. Every media giant here is talking about it. Some, I would say a few people, are celebrating this news. They think it's a good break for them, a good sigh of relief. Others, and I think that the overwhelming sentiment from the British press and royal correspondents in the UK is shock and disappointment. The British royal family is an institution on their own. They bring in billions to the British economy. They're considered a firm. But, of course, I'm sure even our viewers in Nigeria will understand that since Meghan Markle has come into the royal family, she really has caused a lot of disruption. For a lot of people of colour in the UK, they particularly believe it's completely down to her race alone, and that if she was a white lady, she wouldn't be facing as much scrutiny as she has been. They had a 6-week break over Christmas where they were in Canada with Meghan Markle's mother, and it's believed that this statement that they released yesterday evening was without the consultation of the Queen and Prince William and his father, Prince Charles. So there's lots to chew on. At the moment, it's all speculation, but I would definitely say the overwhelming response here in the UK is shock and disappointment.
I'm sure this is certainly not going down well with the royal family. Anyway, thank you, Juliana. Enjoy the rest of the day.